Hey guys, how's it going? So I have picked up a few books this Yule season that I thought it would be fun to share with you guys. Now, not all of these books are pagan specifically. Some of them are pagan adjacent, I guess you could say, but I thought they'd be fun to share nonetheless. So that's what we're doing today. Grab yourself a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, get cozy, and join me for this short little book haul. So the first book I wanted to share with you is about one of my favorite Yuletide topics, and that is Krampus. So I picked up this book because I really wanted to learn more about the history of this aspect of folklore. Now this book is called The Krampus and the Old Dark Christmas Roots and Rebirth of the Folkloric Devil. Sounds pretty exciting, huh? And this book does such a wonderful job of digging deep into the history and the origins of Krampus. And not just Krampus, but a lot of other folkloric creatures that originate from Krampus traditions or are tangentially connected to Krampus in some way. So if you've ever been curious about Krampus and ask yourself, how pagan is Krampus? Or are there pagan origins? Or maybe not? Or if you're interested in trying to kind of get to the root of what this ancient tradition represents or means, this would be a great book to pick up. It is wonderfully researched. It contains a map in the beginning of all the regions where Krampus is celebrated, so I highly recommend this book for anyone wanting to learn more about this Yuletide creature. Now the next book is great for any pagans who are just starting on their journey towards learning about Yule traditions and customs, and that is The Old Magic of Christmas by Linda Radish, and I believe this is a Llewellyn book. And this is a wonderful introduction on a lot of traditions and lore that we in modern days associate with Christmas time, but in fact have much older pagan origins. So there's a lot of stuff mentioned in here, and it digs into different household spirits. It asks questions like, why are reindeer associated with this time of year? It's just such a great collection of bits and pieces of folklore and pagan history and how it's all tied towards the Yuletide season. So highly recommend this for beginners, anyone who is just starting their journey and wanting to learn more about Yule specifically. Now shifting a bit away from research-oriented books towards something a bit more casual and fun is this novel that I just picked up. Now this is The Winter of the Witch by Catherine Arden, and this is the third book in her Winter Night trilogy. The first book is The Bear and the Nightingale, so if you haven't read that yet, you have to pick up The Bear and the Nightingale, but right now I am on book 3 of the trilogy and I've been loving it so much. This series is so great because it uses a lot of Slavic winter folklore and traditions. So if you are someone who has been curious about Slavic paganism or different Slavic creatures, I know many of you guys watch The Witcher, for example, which is another great kind of fun piece of fiction that delves into this topic. This story in particular follows a girl in medieval Russia in a small countryside village, and she is kind of stuck between two worlds. The world of the old pagan customs that are still somewhat practiced among her farming community, and the encroaching power of the Russian Orthodox Church. And she has a gift where she can still see and speak to and connect with these old folkloric spirits and deities, and that of course, you know, causes issues as she's, you know, called a witch and has to escape and all of that kind of stuff. Don't want to give too much of the plot away, but it really does a wonderful portrayal of kind of showing that tension between the conversion times and as society shifted away from paganism towards Christianity. And of course it's fiction, but you can tell that Catherine Arden did her research and she really looked into and studied a lot of Slavic folklore in order to write this. So I highly recommend if you're looking for a good winter read. Let's see. Next, I have two books I wanted to share with you that aren't specifically pagan, but enjoyable nonetheless. And the first one I picked up is Dickens at Christmas. And this is a collection of all of Dickens' writings that are either about the Christmas season or take place during the Christmas season. And of course, it includes The Christmas Carol, which is one of my favorite stories. I actually read it every year. And The Christmas Carol itself has a lot of pagan adjacent things in it. Of course, you have the three ghosts, and the Ghost of Christmas Present is very much similar to the Holly King or the Green Man, which I've spoken about in previous videos and episodes of Pagan Happy Hour and things like that. But this collection also includes his other stories that were written about this time of year, and many of them include kind of pagan-esque or spooky aspects. For example, the first story here is, let's see, about a goblin. There's stories in here about ghosts. Let's see, oh, one is called The Haunted Man and the Ghost's Bargain. So you can tell that, you know, Dickens was inspired by English folklore a bit in his writings. And as someone who researches folklore and paganism with the discerning eye, you can kind of see how some of that folklore leaves traces of an earlier pagan past. So recommend for any Dickens fans out there. And lastly, I wanted to share a cookbook with you guys, and I am a huge fan of cookbooks, but this is not a normal cookbook. This is a cookbook you pick up more for its writings as opposed to the recipes. This is The Christmas Chronicles by Nigel Slater, and of course it is a traditional cookbook with recipes and beautiful pictures. But really, what really stands out to me about this book is the writing. Each recipe is prefaced with, you know, paragraphs talking about the beauty of the winter season. And his writing is just so, like, stunningly beautiful. For example, here's a sentence in his intro that says, "It is the winters that stay in my memory, carved deep as a fjord, as long and clear as an icicle." So he just writes about how to appreciate the winter season, and that is something I really struggled with when I lived in a colder climate. And having this book, I wish I had had this when I lived in Chicago or in upstate New York, when the winters could seem so desolate and cold and dark. And this book just really helps you appreciate the bounty of nature, what is still growing and available in the winter season in terms of cooking, but also how to just look out at the winter landscape and appreciate the beauty of it all. So it's a really inspiring book and really can help anyone who struggles a bit with finding the joy at this time of year. So that is my little book haul for you all. I hope you enjoyed it. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you have any Yule or winter books you would like to recommend, please list them down in the comments. And I will see you guys next week. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!